Okay, so I look like an utter scarecrow. Great, wonderful. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing good. If you're new, I'm Katie, and welcome to another bookish adventure. So today I'm going to be reviewing The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millward Hargrave, and I just, oh my god. So I don't even know where to begin with this, to be honest. If the book's up, you're all good and spoiler free. Book's down, spoiler time. I was so excited to read this book. I love her middle grade literature so much. It is easily one of my favorites, and when I discovered that she was going to write YA, I was like, okay. And I also heard she was writing adult, and I was like, oh damn. I think this one did come out first, and to be fair, this one definitely caught my attention first, especially once I found out that it was a Dracula retelling, and I was like, hello people. So first things first, I gave this 4.75 only because I didn't get the ending I wanted, and to be fair, my ending actually I still think would have worked really well with the book. I have spoken to people who've read this, and I sort of said, oh, I kind of thought this might happen, and I really would have liked it to end it like this, and they did agree and did think that it would be a really cool ending. But the book itself is so brilliant. Mine also contained a special Waterstones exclusive, which was an extra chapter, and I really love that, because this book is how Dracula gets his brides, and the excerpt at the back is like Dracula is like the timeline has moved forward, so you're now in Dracula times, as in the book. This is about two sisters who are about to have their divining, which basically kind of gives you like your path, like your future for your life. The camp decides to stay instead of moving on so that they can do it. There's a very short window that they have, and then the day of their birthday, when it's meant to happen, the camp is raided by settlers, and basically all of the travelers are pretty much killed. The boys all get taken because they can like do labor, and a lot of the girls are taken because they can be servants and maids, and they also try and capture one of their bears. And this is something which is really cool, that whilst reading this, I found so much of the cover had so much bearing in the book. Like at some point the snake comes into it, their bear is the fact that they themselves, like her mother was a bear trainer and would dance with the bear. I love that the thorns on the branches look like fangs, and I also love at the bottom that the minarets and the tower also kind of look like fangs. There's just a lot that really beautifully and cleverly links to this book that I was just like, ah. So they are taken and put into slavery, and eventually, you know, stories of Dracula or the dragon. The travelers know of the dragon. He is like one of their legends, their stories, so they are aware of him. But once they get sold off and to work in a lord's castle, it kind of becomes clear that there is this dragon, and a lot of lords sort of have pacts with him, and that they give offerings, they give girls, they give people. So they are twins in this, Kizzy and Lil, and it is from Lil's perspective. I was hoping it was going to be both sisters because they are so different, and you know, seeing how they are adapting and changing and how all of that to do with slavery. Really glad it wasn't from both point of views, because I just didn't like Kizzy. I really didn't like her, so I think I would have struggled with her chapters. She is, not to say she's the golden child, but she's more filled out in her curves and her figure. She's more beautiful. It is pretty much Lil follows in her shadows, and I don't know if she's happy about it, but she's always just kind of been like just gone with it. So when they find themselves in this situation, Kizzy's response is just to fight, is just to be angry, to lash out, whereas Lil is way more subdued. Her instinct to survive is to head down, keep going, and they do sort of clash. And it is one of these things where you just watch things like there are relationships when instead of talking, they just try and find like nothing is resolved. There is always still that tension. Like Kizzy's still going to keep wanting to lash out, and it's clear that she is annoyed at Lil because she doesn't feel the same way, and then she also doesn't want Lil bonding or becoming friends with the other servants, because in Kizzy's mind it is still, we're travelers, they're settlers. Just because we're all like in this situation together doesn't mean we can all be friends. I really love this because even though away from their life, because it is very early on in this book that they are taken, you still get insights into their previous life, how they would live, and their customs and their ways, like especially in regards to like the divining. I really appreciated it. I loved it. You know me, I love a backstory, I love some world building, I love some mythology. It is my favorite. So Lil does become friends with other people. She does talk to them, and slowly and quite wonderfully you see a change in Lil, and it is something that I loved in this book, is that you do slowly see her become more herself, get a bit more fight. They just have different ways in dealing with what's happening to them, them. It's just that unfortunately, because they are sisters and they're being kept together because the Lord's like, oh look, twins, cool, like, you know, something different. If Kizzy acts out, Lil is going to be the one to face the consequences, and vice versa, because you'll keep taking a beating if it means you can get free, but if you see your family get hurt, you're gonna stop. So as we journey into this book, there is a big feast where another lord slightly higher up than the one that they are with comes to visit, and there is an incident at the feast, and basically to appease this insult, the guy's like, I'm taking Kizzy. He's like, she will be payment, sort of thing, and they are separated, and it becomes clear that she's going to the dragon. So Lil takes it upon herself. She's like, I have to escape, I have to go after her. So she goes on this journey with one of the girls that she meets and has feelings for. Oh, it's so cute. And also one of the boys that they grew up with, that he goes with them, and it is their journey to find her. And again, these are the things I really think are cool. They have to journey through their former camp, and where everything's been burnt down, these mushrooms have grown, and she eats those, and she sees visions to do with dragon, visions to do with how to get there, and visions to do with Strigoi. I love this. This again is something that is really cool, and it shows the difference between settlers and traveled, is that they have their stories about the dragon, they have their stories about Strigoi. So when they do come up against one, they are a lot more willing to be like, oh, this is this, whereas Mira is more, no, she just must be ill, there must be something wrong with her, and they're like, she's chewing on her dad's throat, like, I don't think she's ill. It's things like that I really love. But yeah, this is definitely just mainly, aside from this, the coolness of what this book is, and I cannot stress anymore to read this, because the time frame is very short. It moves along quite quickly. It is just this wonderful book of seeing Lil's journey, her change, and this growing and looming thing of we're slowly getting to Dracula. Going into this, I had expected that at first they were going to be in Dracula's castle in some form of way, servants, and then the whole bride thing happening. Completely different. They are in a different lord's castle first and then make their way to him. So yeah, Dracula is definitely a background character. Don't go into this thinking Dracula is going to be in it. He is a looming figure, and he is kind of, yeah, sealing their fate as to what's going to happen to them. The ending really ripped my heart. It really did. I so wanted a different ending. It was bloody good, my god, and I think I did cry. It was really just, it was beautiful, it was amazing, it really tugged at my heart. I thought it was just brilliant. I am going to discuss the end of it because but yeah, one of my favorite things, if you do have the same copy as me, that edition of the catching up to Dracula times is really cool, because at this point in the book, the dragon is kind of at his height, you know, lords are falling at their feet for him, you know, he's got this like pact going on where people will give him people, whereas obviously if you've read Dracula, you will know that he's just this withered husk, and I think the surrounding areas know, whether they know he's a vampire, but they know to be wary, and it's almost like he has just faded in time and faded into legend, so he never rebuilds that legacy. And so I really like the idea of he was never just some kind of aloof kind of just person who had a castle and whatever. I love the idea of he was someone, he had this hold over the other barons, he had this hold over people kind of knew what he was doing. I really just appreciated that added extra, oh no, look, he kind of was someone and now he's not. It is brilliant. I highly recommend this book. I really could not recommend it more. That is the end of this spoiler-free section. I do just need to talk about the end so bad. I just have to get it off my chest. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please, I cannot highly recommend her middle grade literature, her YA, and I'm really excited to read her adult. One thing for sure is that it doesn't feel any different. A bit like Lemony Snicket in the series of Unfortunate Events, and again Philip Pullman's The Northern Lights. It's not dumbed down, it's not being catered to for a younger audience. It kind of just happens to be that her books for children, like they just happen to be from a child's point of view. To me, it reads adult, the themes are quite adult, oh, the heartbreak is adult. I just think her books are absolutely beautiful. The fact that they're middle grade, it really doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I felt like there was no variation, so I'm really interested to read The Mercies to see how different it is and whether it will feel different just narrative wise. But yeah, read it and come back and watch the end of this and share your thoughts. So for me, I don't want to say I'm disappointed, because obviously we knew that this was a retelling of how Dracula got his brides, but I think after everything that Lil went through, her mounting this rescue mission to go find her sister, just everything she goes through and falling in love and realizing sort of who she is, I was disappointed that at the end of the day, once again, she sacrifices everything for her sister. I kind of was thinking, okay, I always was kind of thinking one of them is going to at least become a bride, and I did wonder if it was going to just be her sister and she would get there too late and she would have to leave her. So I am quite disappointed, and I think that's where the heartbreak and the tears came from, was that she had this glimmer of a life she could have had, and she really stepped out of Kizzy's shadow, and it would have been interesting to see what they would have been like afterwards when she kind of did have that kind of, I got some balls now. It did just feel like once again her life became dictated, and once again she catered to the whims of her sister because her sister thinks how she does and is very, not saying anything wrong with being free-willed, but she's headstrong and kind of doesn't seem to care about Lil and her feelings and what she might want. I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but I was a little bit. I was kind of hoping that if it was going the way that Kizzy would become one of them, that perhaps they would kind of come to this uneasy pact or truce of Lil would stay sort of maybe within the village borders to keep an eye on her sister, and that so she doesn't go around harming too many people, and maybe kind of being that beginning sort of ancestry line of the Van Helsings, of the idea of that they are the watchers and the protectors of the people from the dragon and his minions, I guess, and his brides. It would have been really cool, and I like the idea of that. Yeah, she would have been there to watch her sister, to keep her in check, and almost like vice versa, like they can't quite be without each other. That's how I would have liked it to have gone. The excerpt at the end, I did like that you saw where the other bride came from. I also love that how the passage of time really alters them, really changes everything, how their memories fade. That I thought was really clever, because a lot of vampire things you have, you know, they're still themselves, they still remember a lot of stuff. So I think she really cleverly tied it in with the brides from the book, who sort of, yeah, have that weird kind of creepy sexy vibe about them, and almost seem, yeah, very whimsical, giddy and excited about there being a person in the castle and being able to feed off someone. So I really like how she just added that, and yeah, the change in who they were, and also how it happens quite quickly. But yeah, that is the ending. It got me. I wasn't expecting it to be so sad. I think because of the journey that Lil went on, I had a small glimmer that she would come out of it alive, and it would be that real defining break between them. It's kind of a very much like Jaime and Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones, and that's how I feel. I just feel like once again she is subject to the whims of her sister. It is, and this is part of me does think, especially as the book went on, I would have liked Kizzy's point of view, just that if she started to see changes within her sister, if she felt any guilt or any remorse that she puts her sister in this position. But yeah, as a character I really didn't like her, so I was quite glad that I didn't have a point of view. Anyway, that is me done. I just really quickly wanted to get that in. So if you've read it, hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video and want to hit that like button, do that, and if you want to subscribe, do that too. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great week.